Is it possible for anyone to go from poverty level to extremely financially successful?
Absolutely. I think earning money is one of the simplest things I ever learned. And it's one of the most misunderstood things. Wealthy people historically have always had multiple sources of income. They don't have one. They have many. I was cleaning floors. I thought the answer was work harder. Because I really wanted to earn some money.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought it was all important. Today, my attitude towards money has changed dramatically. But I thought the answer was get another office to clean. Well, I was working so hard, I passed out on the street. I would have been maybe 27, 28. I literally passed out on the street. I was working so hard. I got away and I got thinking, I'm not doing this right.
Working harder, working more hours is not the way.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, Napoleon Hill wrote that in Think and Grow Rich. He said, if you are one of those people who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought, it is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, never come as a result of hard work. They come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. So you got to find a demand and fill it, but you got to follow definite principles to do it.
Wow.
In other words, it's got to be in harmony with the law. You got to give more than you get. If you're trying to get, forget it.
Yeah.
Well, I got by myself and I thought, I'm doing something wrong. I was earning more money, but here I'm passing it. This is not normal. And it's like a little voice in my head said, if you can't clean all of them, don't clean any of them. So I got all dressed up. People now accuse me of sleeping in my suit. I wouldn't take a suit off. Didn't matter where I was. Because I knew the cleaners were tired and I would go around. I got other people cleaning offices. And I knew pretty well where they'd be. So I dropped around, I'd bring coffee and donuts. And I would drop in and I would talk to them about goals. And then I'd go to the next person. But I always was dressed up because I knew how tired you get. And if I was in working clothes, they'd expect me to help them so they could finish and go home.
Interesting.
But when I had shiny shoes and a suit and shirt and tie, they didn't expect me to help them clean. So I'd go on to the next place and then the next place. And that's when I started to open offices. I went from Toronto to Montreal to Boston to Cleveland to Atlanta to London, England. And it's because we only have one problem in the whole world, and that's ignorance. They're living in ignorance. They don't know that what they're doing is going to keep them where they are. And they keep doing it because they don't know how to change. They're overwhelmed with the debt. People are saying, I need the money. They haven't got it. They want to take their family on a vacation. They don't have the money to go. So they may borrow it and go anyway. Now they got more debt. They have to understand that they don't have to live that way. I wrote a book called You're Born Rich. The truth is you are. Most people are just a little short of money, but you are born rich in potential.
I think it starts with, while yes, we got to get on a budget, we got to make sacrifices, we got to get rid of this debt using the debt snowball, get the emergency fund. Those are the real tactical steps. But I think it starts with an emotional place where we go, all right, we cried it out, and then we wake up and we're like, we got to go to work. And so the question is, the gap between financial stress and financial peace is littered with traps and myths and distractions and noise and whole life insurance bros trying to sell you on some tax-free wealth strategy. And so what you have to do if that's you is go like, I'm cutting out all the noise and inputs. I'm gonna follow a proven plan, do one thing at a time with focus, intensity, and go all in. And if you get out of debt and follow the Ramsey plan and you hate it, you can always go back into debt. The companies will always be ready to hand you more monopoly money to play with. But I've rarely seen that happen. When people get out of debt, the sacrifice they make to get out, 18 to 24 months, that's the average it takes to get out, they never go back. They go, I touched the hot stove, done with that life. I got goals. I'm not trying to pay lenders for the rest of my life. I'm trying to leave a legacy. I want to have generational impact. And so those are the people that inspire me, are the ones that they start there, but it doesn't end there. And unfortunately, too many of us are willing to live in mediocrity for 30 years instead of sacrificing for 3.
Wow.
To have freedom for the next 27.
Money and success is not attracted to people that talk down to them. Just like anything else, they're not attracted to you. They want to be respected. Money wants to be respected. Not loved, but money wants to be respected. It wants you to say, you know what? I respect what we can do with money and how much power you can bring to my family. I respect it. What do I need to do to get more of it? Well, guess what? Right now, your market value is $68,000 per year. You want to improve it? I do. Here's what you got to do. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, great. And the way of making money for the longest time, you know, everybody wants to say entrepreneurship. There's many other ways of making it. That's one way to go. You can be a creator. You know, Mr. Beast has proven the fact that you can be a billionaire by being a YouTuber. The guy's got 300-400 million subscribers. Probably by the time this video comes out, he's at 500 million subscribers. The way he's growing. You can make a lot of money being a YouTuber, talent, creator, behind the scenes, you know, growing a company to the next level, sales, you know, communication, executive, leadership. But no matter what you do, I don't care what you do, whatever business you're in, I'm interested in learning skill sets that are evergreen to 100% of industries.
What are those skill sets?
Let's talk about that. So one is leadership, okay? In every environment, like we have a team of 30 people in our production team at the office, right? And there was a lot of chaos 3 weeks ago. And I held a meeting. In a meeting I held, I'm watching to see who's showing signs of leadership and what's gonna happen. This is an opportunity for them to show who's the leader. And then the person you weren't expecting stood up, and the person you were expecting to lead was kind of like quiet, not saying anything. Well, maybe this guy's not a leader. He's a technical expert, but he's not a leader. This person is not technically as much of an expert as this person, but this guy knows how to bring everybody together and get, you know, all the productions to be done on time, delivered, high quality, thumbnails, everything. That guy's a better leader, even though technically he's not as good as this. The market pays for great leaders. So whether I'm an assistant, whether I'm an executive assistant, whether I'm a salesperson, whether I'm a coder, an editor, whether I'm in the military, whether I'm a cop, firefighter, politician, an athlete, it does not matter. Steve Kerr wasn't technically the best player, but he's one of the best coaches in the league today, right? So why is he where he's at? Because of the leadership, right? So leadership is what? Getting people to do things they wouldn't do on their own and setting a great example. Great. So that means you have to be able to do what? You have to learn how to build relationships with people to win them over. You have to be able to give tough news, bad news, direct news in a gentle way where it's received.
How do I make $1 million business? You also think in increments that somebody who's trying to make $1 million thinks in, right? Because I got asked on this TikTok, so they gave me this prompt. They said, hey, Alex, how would you make 6 figures a year? That was the question. And my immediate response was, I would sell something for 100 grand and then figure out what I would do for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so it's like these people think about money differently. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about how do I build this thing into like 100 million, and you have to think of a number that's as high as you can fathom, right? If you can't fathom 100 million, then don't think that. But like as high as you can mathematically fathom. So it might be $10 million. Okay. Think like how many dogs would I need to walk? And you just reverse the math into what you need. Right, and then
how many people I need to hire, and how many? Yeah.
Exactly, and then you start with the inputs, because in the beginning, the only inputs you have is going to be the content, it's going to be running the ads, it's going to be doing the warm, it's going to be do the reach outs. That's it. Those are the inputs, and then everything else is going to stem from that. And then what will happen is if you have the advertising machine on the front end to bring people in, the bottleneck becomes your leading, rather than the selling and the product.
You're leading, yes.
Right? And so then the focus then becomes, how do I use that same? If you really want to get deep on those, how do I use that same skill set of advertising and then shift it to my internal? Because I still have to do warm reach outs, I still have to run ads, I still have to make content, I still can have affiliates or get referrals from my employees to get more team. Mm-hmm. And so every business has 2 funnels. You have the front end funnel that gets you customers and the back end funnel that gets you team. And so as you crank this guy, you need to crank this one. And then that's how you can scale these things to the moon without stopping. Right. You are a really good marketer, a really good salesman. A lot of them are like, oh, I'm not a good leader, I'm not a good operator, I'm not a good whatever. And she's like, if you can sell all those people and influence all those people, you can use that same skill set and just face internally to your team. It was a nice belief shift for me, or belief breaker for me. I was like, she's totally right. Mm-hmm. And so to the point that you were making earlier, like leading is selling and influencing, a lot of it really comes down to being able to move people and being able to clearly communicate what you want. a lot of people were told things about the world that were not true and they take them as fact. And so they're making their decision calculus off of something that is not true. And so they're making conclusions off of false data. And so that's why they can't see it, because what they're basing their assumptions on is false.
But
Right?
they've been believing it for so long.
Yeah.
So how do they change that belief when it's been baked in their psyche for decades?
Yeah. I think that the way that the biggest beliefs have been broken for me have been one of two ways. Reality proves me wrong, or someone tells me a story and gives me evidence from their lives. Like, I remember when we went to a mastermind and we were just starting out. I was not making a ton of money. And a guy got up there and he gave his little spiel and he was like, yeah, we're making $300,000 or $400,000 a month. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not really sure I like the business, blah, blah, blah. And the guy did not seem smart.
And you're like, how is he doing this?
And it's funny you say that, because my actual first thought was, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And so that was like, he, through evidence, like he reshaped my reality. It was one of the most momentous things. I remember Layla and I both had the same takeaway because she was next to me. When we both saw this guy do this, like we walked out and we're like, dude, if he can, like we both immediately had the same conclusion, like if he can do it, we can do it. And so I think that that's like, how do you either have reality prove you wrong, or someone else is that reality for you, where they tell their story about, hey, I used to feel the same way, I used to think this thing, and then I will share my story so you don't have to have the scar.
Yes.
So you don't have to give up 5 years of your life to learn this lesson. I'll just give you the story so you don't have to have the scar.
I would invest in your business. Whatever your business is, or your department, your division is. Like the first 30 years of my career, I didn't own a company, but I did invest in my department. Even though I worked for a company. I had a secretary. I didn't have the company pay for my secretary. I paid for that. I wanted her to work for me. It was my mom, by the way. And so invest in yourself, invest in yourself, then invest in your business or your department, your skill set. If it's your company, then invest in your company, even down to zero. Like I wouldn't keep money around.
Okay.
I wouldn't save for a rainy day. I wouldn't have an emergency account. I did all that.
Why not?
Because you don't need it. You need hustle. You need other people's money. You need to go knock on another door, make another contact. You don't need reserves of money. So what you need is cash flow.
Okay. So how do we get cash flow?
So by making investments, that's the third. And other things that don't require my skill set. So that would be the third piece of advice, is start investing in real assets. That cash flow. Number two, that can appreciate. 3, that provide tax shelters. And if you look at those 3 criteria, Bitcoin doesn't cover it. Stocks probably don't cover it. Gambling doesn't.
Right.
That one, gold doesn't, silver doesn't. Real estate.
NFTs don't. Yeah.
NFTs don't, because they don't cash flow. That's why when you invested in NFTs and you're like, okay, they're cool, you're crossing your fingers hoping, but you don't see a check. With the real estate, I'm sending you a check every month. You're like, okay, I just got another check. Like, you don't have to be in mystery.
Right.
But the most important thing is that people need to you gotta know that if you live in America and you're having a money problem, it is not because you're stupid, and it's not because you're lazy.
What is it?
It's because you have the wrong information.
The wrong information.
If you're losing at the table, and there's other people winning there, okay, you just have the wrong data. And I believe that Americans, particularly Americans, have the wrong data about money. That they're financially, there's medical misinformation, there is financial misinformation in the marketplace that is perpetuated by the banks and the institutions, because every time you operate under their hypnotism, you benefit them, not your family.